those that have been following me, you know I've been in Switzerland for 2 weeks to start the year 2025. But all I can say is my life is a fucking movie. And it doesn't seem to change. I'm always appreciative of my life and the experience I'm allowed to make. But I thought I actually have the chance to take my life into my own hands again, take responsibility, and kind of shape my own future myself. But it always seems like the universe doesn't let me plan and just let me do the things that I come up with. Because every time I make up plans for what I want to do and the projects that I want to do in the upcoming year or the upcoming month, something happens that throws me back completely. And after all that stuff that happened with my family in the last years of losing my foundation, my base, the people I call home, I had to learn to be patient and I had to learn to accept. And it took quite long for most of my wounds to heal. And sometimes I was a bit stubborn because I wanted to get up on my feet again and live life. But sometimes things just take the time they need to take. Now after 2.5 years, I actually thought, okay, it's time for me to step up, to take my life in my own hands again and find happiness. There are a lot of things that have been holding me back. First of all, myself, because I always say it's not about living under other people's expectation, it's living under your own expectations. And mostly if we don't do the things that we feel like doing deep inside of our heart, we will always regret it that we didn't even try. So to give you a brief summary of what happened after I left Switzerland, for those that have seen the episodes, I got sick in Switzerland. I had a flu, which wasn't even that strong. I just had some body aches. I could feel my bones and everything. But I didn't have a cough. I didn't have fever. And I actually took the time to recover. But in the last days, I noticed a strange pain on my chest, which kind of started moving. It started on the right side. It was hard for me to sleep, so I had to sleep on my back. And day by day, I noticed I can't breathe that well. And then it moved to the other side until it finally reached the middle of my chest. And first I thought, okay, I might have slept strangely or pinched a nerve. But something deep inside of me told me that something is not right. So I traveled back to Germany after about 2 weeks of being in Switzerland with my friends in the mountains, which was a beautiful experience. It was the best way for me to start the year because it was calm, it was peaceful. And I had time to make up my mind what I want and where I want 2025 to go. But what happened then I could have never expected. And now I'm sitting here. So I traveled back to Germany, took my time to get back into my daily structure here in Frankfurt. But I still had this pain in my chest and it didn't seem to get better. Day by day I was struggling more and more. And I noticed, even back in Switzerland, that my lungs don't really take in the oxygen that I need, and I felt weak. But there was a specific day where I decided to go to the gym because I wanted to work out again, kind of get back into my routine because I love sports. It's a big part of my life, and especially in the last years, it turned into the most important medicine I have to deal with frustration, to deal with a kind of depression, and to push myself because life is not easy. And I went to the gym. My gym is in the 4th level. And I always take the stairs because I laugh about the people that take the lift. Because I'm like, guys, it's the best warm-up. And why would you go to the gym if you're not even ready to take the stairs? So I walk up the stairs, and while I'm walking, I notice already my lungs not really taking in oxygen. I'm breathing heavily. So when I reached the 4th level, it felt like I was running a marathon. Luckily, I heard what my body was trying to tell me, because I realized it's not possible to work out at all. So I turned around and I went back home. And I said, okay, I'm going to give my body a bit of rest the next days and just see if it gets better. The weekend came. I really had pain. I couldn't move much anymore. Not only that I could not breathe, every time when I was moving, turning, it hurt so badly, which kind of restricted me in my own way of living at home. So I was just sitting at my desk and wondering, what the fuck is this? And Saturday came, and I decided to go to the doctor on Monday because Sundays every doctor is closed, and the only possibility you have is go to the clinic. And when you sit in the emergency, it can take hours until it's your turn and they check you. And especially when you're young and you don't really have a problem, you're not bleeding, you didn't lose an arm, or you're about to die, I know they don't take you that serious. And me, myself, I'm somebody that doesn't run to the doctor because of every headache or my nose running. And I know a lot of people are like this in these days, which takes the possibility for people that really need the treatment, that really need help, to get that help. So I'm always trying to balance when is it necessary, when not. But on Saturday, I made the decision to wait until Monday because I didn't want to sit 4 hours or 6 hours in the emergency, and then having a doctor telling me, now you can go back home. It doesn't seem that bad. But when Sunday came and my pain didn't get less, it rather increased, I made a decision to go to the emergency. And one thing I'm really happy about is that I know my body really well. It has a lot to do with how my mom raised me. Very aware of what I eat, what I do, what I think. Even though there were a couple of years where I pushed all of this aside and I had enough of living conscious and just watching what I'm putting into my body. But on Sunday, something told me, bro, you have to check this. Something is not right. This can't be a nerve. This is something that's not gonna pass. And I just wanted to know what it is, especially since the pain started staying somewhere in the middle of my chest. So I called an Uber, drove to emergency. Luckily, when I entered the hospital, I saw a familiar face, an older friend, a mutual friend of another friend of mine that saw me coming down the stairs with a really painful face, and he's like, bro, what's wrong? And I said, you know what, since a few days, I can't really breathe well. It seems like my lungs are fighting to get oxygen. I can only breathe in very shallowly, not deep into my lungs, because every time I took a big breath of air, it hurt so badly that I restricted myself from breathing deeply. I was just like... So he took me in immediately, brought me to the doctor, said, this is a good friend of mine. Please take care and check him until you really find what the reason is. And I had these situations in Germany quite often where I went to the doctor, I had certain kind of pain, and I don't like to act. I don't like to make things seem worse than they actually are. I hope people take me seriously, even if I'm still walking, I'm not about to faint, I'm not crying, I'm just telling somebody I have pain and I'm really, really worried. But I know in this case, if my friend working at the hospital would not have taken me in, there's a big possibility that they would have sent me away. And I'm really, really thankful, Hssl, that you took me in and took this so serious. I can't say, or I don't want to say, you might have saved my life, but you definitely did something for me that it didn't get so risky, and me getting into a situation where it would have been so dangerous that there would not have been another possibility than getting an operation. So they took me in, they checked my blood, they checked my heart, they did an X-ray. But when they checked my blood, they could clearly notice that my infection rate is quite high, but they couldn't find the reason what is causing this. I got to the hospital around 4 o'clock, but after 10 hours of waiting, it was like 2 o'clock in the night, I was almost annoyed and I was about to let myself go and take the responsibility for whatever comes. But then the crew of doctors decided to send me into CT one more time to check the inner organs, because in an X-ray you can mostly see the bones and everything. You don't see what is going on beneath. But they put me in the X-ray and I had to lie there for like 10 minutes with my arms up, and I had so much pain of breathing. It was so hard to be in it. And a few moments later, when I was sitting in the emergency, it was about 2 o'clock in the night, 2 a.m., 2:30. 3 doctors come in and tell me that they finally found the reason. And I was happy, first of all, because I thought, okay, now we can see what we have to do, and I was still hopeful that it was nothing really bad. So when the doctors finally told me the result, I was in shock. I was sitting there for at least 2-3 minutes with my mouth open, just looking at them, not wanting to believe what they're actually telling me, that they had found a blood clot in my lungs, and that it had moved so far up, that it was so close to my heart already, that I was lucky that I came by myself, because this could have ended differently. And I always look at the positive things in life. But this time, I really noticed how lucky I got. And the crazy thing is I have been confronted with death in the last couple of years a lot of times. Not only with my grandparents, my mom, and friends of mine that have passed away in the last years. This time it was about my own life. And I've never been scared of death, especially since I'm trying to live every day fully 100%, being appreciative for what I have, for the small things in life, because we always have wishes, we always have something we want to reach or we want to work towards for. And I've always been appreciative for my life, for the small things I have. And of course, there are always wishes we have, things we want to achieve in the future. But I've learned to live in the present moment because it's the only moment I can control. Yesterday's in the past. That's why I closed my past and the things that hurt me a long time. But I also stopped looking so far ahead in the future because, especially with the example of my mom dying, I noticed tomorrow is never promised, nothing is for certain. But realizing that this could have been the moment where I lose my own life was not only devastating, and even though I have never been scared of death, thinking about me losing my life and following my grandparents and my mother and meeting my family somewhere up above the clouds and thinking about their reaction made me really, really sad. I can't imagine how my grandparents would have looked at me and my mom and asked me, "What the fuck are you doing here?" So this brought me back to realize that I have a responsibility of taking care of myself. And if you want to support my channel, I would be really happy if you hit the like button. And for those that haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, hit the bell notification that you don't miss out on further videos.